Okay, disassembly of the Airstar Nova 700. Start out with the 2 trigger frame screws. Hold the trigger frame so it doesn't wobble around and you lose either the safety spring or bearing. Move trigger frame or guard, move safety spring, dump out the bearing. Loosen up the set screw inside the trigger. Remove the trigger rod and the trigger. On the rail there should be another set screw that holds in the brass spacer. Doesn't want to fall out, use an Allen key or a pick. Go in through the back hole where the rear screw is located on the rail. Push forward the spring on the overpressure relief, and that will slide the contents forward. If you need to get into just the main body of the marker, you can now remove the rail and grip frame via the rear rail screw. Once you push it forward far enough, you can remove the brass spacer. Sometimes it will fall out the trigger slot, other times it will go out the front hole. Use a pick, you can grab onto the vent hole in the valve and you can push it through the front, being careful not to damage it. Now the overpressure release should just fall out, and there it is. Now use your 1/8 inch Allen key and remove the rail from the marker. Later models of the Nova will not have the requirement to push forward the internals to access the rear rail screw. It has a spacer underneath the screw which will compress the spring. You have 3 O-rings on the top of the rail that match up with holes in the body of the Nova. The internals are oriented in this fashion inside the rail, just so you orient them correctly when reassembling. There are the 3 holes I was talking about before that match up with the O-rings on the rail. Remove sight rail. If you do not have the sight rail, there will just be a screw there. Both the rail screw and the screw through the top hole in the regulator. Be sure to back out the regulator so there's no pressure on the snap ring. And pull regulator out the back. A strap wrench helps with this, or any other piece of rubber you can find. Now, grabbing a set of snap ring pliers, you can remove the snap ring on the regulator. There's your cap with the adjustment screw and your washer. If you did not back out the adjustment screw, there would be pressure on the snap ring, making it harder to get out. Here's your reg spring, and here's your reg piston. In the bottom is your reg seat, and there's it. Okay, there you go. Where's the wrench? Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever, I can do without it. Okay, 1/2 inch socket. Get out your retaining nut. Or, yeah. And you'll have your pin, your seat, and your spring. These are actually aftermarket parts I'm showing here. The stock ones will be quite a bit different. They are 3 unattached items. These are actually out of a Diablo Wraith regulator. They work just fine for the purpose. And let's get this started by hand. There we go. Snug it down. Reinsert piston, spring, washer, and adjustment cap. Followed by a snap ring. That's all there's to it, to that regulator. Now to remove the interior spool, first remove the spool spring. Then from the front of the main tube, insert a large Allen key or wood dowel to push on the spool. The rear ring on the spool has the shortest side towards the spool. Most common problem is the O-ring on the tip blows off, either due to wear or incompatible parts. Replace with a urethane O-ring the same size and diameter of the stock OEM part. If you use a nitrile O-ring, they are more elastic and tend to blow off far more often.